Ethan almost canceled the blind date. He stood in front of the cracked mirror in his tiny apartment, adjusting the collar of his only decent shirt while 8-year-old Lily sat cross-legged on the couch, coloring quietly. The radiator rattled like it always did, and the smell of instant noodles still lingered in the air. "You look handsome, Daddy," Lily said without looking up. He smiled softly, "Thanks, Peanut." He hadn't dated in 3 years, not since Lily's mother walked out one rainy afternoon with a suitcase and a promise to send money when I can. She never did. Life since then had been a blur of double shifts, unpaid bills, and bedtime stories read with tired eyes. Ethan worked as a delivery driver during the day and cleaned offices at night. Every dollar went toward rent, groceries, and Lily's school supplies. There was nothing left for dreams. The blind date had been arranged by Mrs. Turner, Lily's teacher, who insisted Ethan deserved a little happiness. "It's just coffee," she'd said, "no pressure." So here he was. He dropped Lily off with their elderly neighbor and headed to a small café downtown. The place was warm and softly lit, with quiet music playing in the background. Ethan arrived early and chose a table near the window. A few minutes later, she walked in. Her name was Claire. She looked elegant but nervous, wearing a beige coat and clutching her purse like it was a lifeline. Her eyes scanned the room until they met Ethan. They exchanged polite smiles and awkward greetings. "So hi," Claire said, sliding into the chair. "Hi," Ethan replied. "Nice to finally meet you." They ordered coffee. Small talk followed: jobs, weather, favorite movies. Claire worked in marketing. Ethan explained his delivery routes and cleaning gigs without mentioning how exhausted he always felt. She nodded politely, but something about her seemed distant. 10 minutes passed. Then Claire's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, her face tightening. She typed a quick reply, then set the phone down. Her hands began to tremble. Ethan noticed. "Everything okay?" he asked gently. She tried to smile, failed. Her eyes filled with tears. "I'm sorry," she whispered, pressing her fingers against her temples. "I didn't mean for this to happen." Ethan froze. People at nearby tables pretended not to stare. "Hey," he said softly, "it's okay." Claire shook her head. One tear escaped, then another. "I shouldn't even be here," she said, her voice breaking. "I just thought maybe I could feel normal for 1 hour." Ethan leaned forward. "You don't have to explain anything if you don't want to." She took a shaky breath. "No," she said, "I think I do." She wiped her cheeks and looked straight at him. "My fiancé left me last week." Ethan's heart sank. He said I was too broken to build a future with. Ethan clenched his jaw. Claire continued, her words spilling out like they'd been trapped inside her. "I've been trying for years to have a baby. 3 miscarriages. 3. Today I found out I might never be able to conceive." Her voice cracked completely. "He told me he wanted a family, and since I can't give him that, he walked away." She covered her face. Ethan didn't know what to say. He just sat there listening. Then Claire whispered the words that changed everything. "I feel like I've failed at being a woman." Ethan swallowed hard. He thought of Lily. He thought of the nights he rocked her to sleep when she cried for a mother who never came back. He thought of the mornings he packed lunches with whatever scraps he could find. Slowly, he reached across the table. "Can I tell you something?" he asked. Claire nodded, still staring at her hands. "I didn't plan on becoming a single dad," Ethan said. "My wife left when Lily was 5. No warning, no goodbye to our daughter, just gone." Claire looked up. "She hasn't called in 3 years," he continued. "Sometimes Lily still asks what she did wrong." Claire pressed her lips together. "And you know what hurts the most," Ethan said quietly. "Not the money, not the exhaustion. It's watching your child blame themselves for someone else's choice. Claire wiped her eyes. You didn't fail at being a woman, Ethan said. And I didn't fail at being a husband. Sometimes people just leave, and it has nothing to do with our worth. Silence settled between them. Then Claire whispered, "How do you keep going?" Ethan smiled faintly. "I don't have a choice." He pulled his phone from his pocket and showed her Lily's photo. Missing front tooth, messy ponytail, bright grin. "She's my whole world." Claire stared at the picture, tears returning. "She's beautiful." "She saved me," Ethan said. "On days when I want to give up, I look at her and remember why I wake up." Claire exhaled slowly. "I wanted that," she admitted. "A little person to love, to protect." Ethan hesitated. Then he said something he hadn't planned. "There are a lot of kids out there who need that kind of love." Claire blinked. "You mean adoption?" Ethan nodded. Claire leaned back stunned. "I never even considered it," she said. "I was so focused on what I couldn't do that I forgot about everything else." They talked for another hour. About loss. About fear. About starting over when life doesn't go according to plan. When it was time to leave, Claire surprised herself by feeling lighter. They stood outside the café, cold air brushing their faces. "Thank you," Claire said, "for listening." "Any time," Ethan replied. She hesitated. "Would it be okay if we stayed in touch?" He smiled. "I'd like that." They exchanged numbers. Neither of them expected much. But life had other ideas. Over the next few weeks they texted. Then coffee turned into walks. Walks turned into dinners. Claire met Lily. Lily instantly adored her. Claire helped with homework. Ethan fixed Claire's leaky sink. Slowly, carefully, two broken lives began stitching themselves together. Claire started therapy. She attended an adoption seminar just to learn. Ethan picked up extra shifts so Lily could join a school art program. They weren't rich. They weren't perfect. But they were present. One evening, Claire sat on Ethan's couch while Lily showed her drawings. "Can I tell you something?" Claire said later when Lily went to bed. Ethan nodded. "I filled out adoption paperwork today." Ethan's breath caught. "That's amazing." She smiled nervously. "I don't know where it will lead, but for the first time in a long time I feel hopeful." He took her hand. "So do I." 6 months later, Claire stood in a quiet hospital hallway holding a tiny bundle wrapped in a pink blanket. Her heart raced. Ethan stood beside her, Lily gripping his leg. The nurse smiled. "Meet Sophie." Claire looked down at the newborn's peaceful face and felt something unlock inside her chest. She hadn't given birth. But in that moment, none of that mattered. She was a mother. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she cradled Sophie. Ethan watched her, his own eyes shining. Lily stepped forward. "She's our sister now, right?" Claire knelt beside her. "Yes," she said softly, "if you want her to be." Lily nodded seriously. "I'll teach her how to draw unicorns." Everyone laughed through tears. That night in Ethan's small apartment, Sophie slept in a borrowed crib. Lily whispered stories to her. Claire sat on the couch, overwhelmed by gratitude. Ethan joined her. "Remember the café?" he asked quietly. Claire smiled. "I almost canceled that date." "So did I." She leaned against his shoulder. "If I hadn't cried that day." Ethan kissed her forehead. "Sometimes breaking down is how life breaks open." They didn't suddenly become wealthy. Bills still arrived. Work was still hard. But their home was full of laughter, crayon drawings, and late-night feedings. 2 years later, Ethan proposed in the same cafe where they first met. Claire said yes through happy tears. They never forgot how it started. A poor single dad, a woman crying on a blind date, and one honest conversation that turned pain into purpose. Because sometimes, the moment you feel most broken is the moment your forever quietly begins.